Today, we are diving into a little story that has had a huge impact on millions of people. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's a super simple but really profound parable that reveals so much about one of the toughest things we all have to deal with in life: change. Through its four little characters, this story basically teaches us everything we need to know about how to adapt and win.
I mean, it's the big question, isn't it? Whether it's a shift at work, something in our personal lives, or just the world changing around us, it's the one thing that's always happening. And yet, so often, our first instinct is to fight it. Well, this story gets right to the heart of why we do that, and more importantly, how we can start to embrace change instead.
This line from the book's opening really just says it all. It perfectly captures that central conflict we all feel inside. We know things are different. We can see it with our own eyes. But something inside us just wants to slam on the brakes and wish everything would go back to the way it was. This idea really sets the stage for the whole story. Okay, so before we meet the characters, you gotta understand the two main metaphors. First, cheese. Now, cheese isn't just, a block of cheddar. It's a symbol for whatever you want out of life. A fulfilling career, a happy family, good health, financial security, you name it. And the maize? Well, that's just the world you have to navigate to find your cheese, your workplace, your industry, your community, your life.
Now, the characters in this story are basically meant to represent the two different parts of all of us. First up, you've got the mice, Sniff and Scurry. They run on pure, simple instinct. Then you have the little people, Hem and Haw. They have complex brains, filled with all sorts of beliefs and emotions that can either be a huge help or, as we're about to see, get seriously in their way.
Let's meet Sniff. Sniff represents that intuitive part of us, the part that's always paying attention. He can smell subtle shifts in the air and just kind of knows when things are about to be different. He's the one who sniffs out change before it even happens.
And right alongside him is his buddy, Scurry. Scurry doesn't waste any time analyzing things. The moment change hits, he is all about one thing: action. He represents that part of us that just wants to get moving and do something about it, right now.
And then we get to the little people. Meet Hem. Hem is the voice of our fear, our resistance. He's gotten comfortable, he feels like he's earned his cheese, and he sees any kind of change as a major threat. His old philosophy is basically, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And finally, there's Haw. Now, Haw starts out pretty much just like Hem. He's scared, he's hesitant, but his journey is really the heart of the whole story. He's the part of us that's capable of learning, of adapting, and this is key, eventually realizing that change can actually lead to something way, way better.
So our story kicks off with a big win. All four of them stumble upon a massive, seemingly endless supply of cheese at a place called Cheese Station C. They think they've hit the jackpot. Life is good. They settle into comfortable routines, and pretty soon, Hem and Haw start to think of this cheese as their cheese, something they're entitled to forever.
So they wake up one day, lace up their running shoes, head over to the station just like they always do, totally expecting that mountain of cheese to be sitting there waiting for them. But this morning is a little different.
It's gone. All of it. And Hem just loses it, screaming this panicked, angry question that echoes through the whole empty station. This is the moment. The moment the rug is pulled out from under them, and their perfect little comfort zone just vanishes.
And right here, you see the two totally different ways to handle change. The mice, Sniff and Scurry, they weren't even surprised. See, they had noticed that cheese supply was getting smaller and a little stale. So for them, it was simple. They just looked at each other, shrugged, and immediately took off into the maze to find more. But Hem and Haw, oh man, they were completely blindsided, just frozen by shock, anger, and this feeling that it was all so unfair.
So, while the mice are already out there on the hunt, Hem and Haw are just stuck. They're analyzing the situation to death, complaining that it's not fair, blaming everyone but themselves, and just waiting. They're hoping that if they just stand there long enough, someone will magically put their old cheese back. They're completely trapped by their attachment to the past.
But then, after a while, Haw has this amazing breakthrough. He's getting weaker, he's frustrated, and he's so tired of waiting for nothing. And he suddenly sees how ridiculous their situation is, showing up to an empty station day after day, expecting a different result. He just has to laugh at himself. And that's when he realizes it. They're stuck in a loop. And that little moment of self-awareness is his big turning point.
So, Haw decides he has to move on. But leaving the familiar, even if it's empty, is scary. The maze is big and unknown. So to get himself to take that first step, he asks himself the single most powerful question in the entire story. What would you do if you weren't afraid?
And just thinking about the answer to that question is enough to get him moving.
He ventures out into the maze. It's not easy. He gets lost, he feels afraid, but he quickly discovers something incredible. The fear he had built up in his head was so much worse than the actual reality. Just the act of moving, of taking action, felt amazing, and it was 1,000 times better than slowly starving back in that empty station.
Then Ha discovers another game-changing tool, visualization. He starts creating this vivid picture in his mind of finding new, delicious cheese. He imagines how it would taste, how it would smell, how great it would feel to be successful again. And the more he does this, the more real it feels, and that vision starts to pull him forward with hope, instead of fear pushing him from behind.
And guess what? It totally works. After navigating the dark corners of the maze and learning so much along the way, Ha stumbles upon Cheese Station N. And it is incredible. It's filled with more kinds of cheese than he had ever dreamed of. And who's already there enjoying the feast? You guessed it, his old pals, Sniff and Scurry. So now that he's safe and very well fed, Ha takes a moment to think back on that difficult but amazing journey he just took. And to help his old friend Hem, or really anyone else who might find themselves lost and afraid in the maze, he decides to write down the big lessons he learned. He writes them right there on the wall for everyone to see.
And these lessons are so simple but so powerful. Number 1, anticipate change. You got to keep an eye on things so you know when they're starting to go stale. 2, adapt quickly. The faster you can let go of the old stuff, the faster you can find something new and better. 3, enjoy the adventure. Try to see the journey as part of the fun. And finally, number 4, always be ready, because change isn't a one-time thing. They are always going to keep moving the cheese.
When you boil it all down, the entire story comes back to this one central idea. Don't fight the current. Don't let yourself get left behind. When the world changes, when your cheese moves, you have to move with it. And if you can learn to do that, you won't just survive, you might actually find that you enjoy the ride.
And so that leaves all of us with a final question to really think about. In your own life, what's your cheese? What's that thing you're chasing? And maybe more importantly, can you see how it's always changing, always moving? The real question this story asks us is this: are you ready to move with it?